Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. A Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network comes to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people require too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, And we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
It really don't matter. I think people so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did, they lemmings. So it really don't matter.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedral Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks were going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're slave masters, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as, like, your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you're praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Oh damn! It's been so long. I forgot to put the chat in the on the screen, so I guess we can't see the chat. I mean, I could do it quickly, but it's been so long that I think I could do it. Let me see. You go here. No, you go here. Hold on a second. You gotta just add a website, and let's see. It should be here. Yeah. All right. Cool. So, damn, it's been long. How y'all doing? I just realized, actually, matter of fact, Brother Bakari, he told me, he said, why don't I go live? And I'm like, man, what were I even saying? I remembered I had a serious, but the thing is that the internet was so, I don't know, odd in Tanzania. I forgot to, I was waiting on the internet. It's some stupid stuff. Like, they have like a fiber thing package, but it takes you months to get it. So that's that. But anyway, let's go to chapter 4. I mean, unless there's any comments, let's go to chapter 4. It says the systematic study of mass psychology revealed to students the potentiality of invisible government of society by manipulation of the motives which actuate man in the group. Trotter and Lebon, who approached the subject in a scientific manner, and Graham Wallace, Walter Lippmann, and others. Matter of fact, let me see if I can even hear myself well. Give me 2 seconds. Government of society. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Graham Wallace, Walter Lippmann, and others who continued with searching studies of the group mind established that the group has mental characteristics distinct from those of the individual and is motivated by impulses and emotions which cannot be explained on the basis of what we know of individual psychology. So, this is basically saying, look, you do a scientific study on the group mind and the individual mind. And you're saying, look, even if you know somebody's individual mind, that's not to say that you're going to know their group mind. Okay? Or you're not going to know the group mind. Basically, if you're asking yourself, because I know, matter of fact, sometimes, I speak with Brother Bakari, and Brother Bakari would say, I know this individual, and damn, they getting tricked by these other individuals, right? Or they falling into the group. And it's like, yeah, here's what this white boy is saying this. This white boy is saying, we studied that shit. And we taught you just look at the individual. Okay, so now we're going to be confused because we learned just look at the individual. When in reality, you could look at the like there is also a group mind. And that's why I tell you guys, you got to step away from the group. When I tell you guys, look, you see, like right now I'll be on social media acting like a damn American. And of course I say some other stuff, set me sometimes apart, but I'm looking at the same damn shit all the time. But when I was in Africa, it wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And I mean, a part of it is, well, you ain't know the language to be a part of the group mind. That's not a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? Like you wasn't watching, you wasn't reading the news. When you tune out, you get that peace. You get that peace. You're not going to get that peace here. You're not going to get that peace of mind here. And it's not me telling you this. It's people were studying this stuff a century ago. They worked it out, refined it on your grandparents. They worked it out and refined it on your grandparents. You were just a child when they started this shit. No, sorry. No, you were just a child when they perfected this shit. This is why I tell y'all, man. But let's keep going. Let's see what's going on. But that's a deep paragraph. And of course, when a white man says science, he might not necessarily mean science. But you know what? I'll tell you this. Like I said, we're doing a Mwangalifu reading. We're doing a Garvey reading. Shout out to Garvey, right? Yeah, there is a science to this. There's a probability to this. And this is what you got to understand about the world. I mean, look, like, I'll put it this way, in fact, because I was thinking about this. I said to myself, my son, he was like, hey, look, Dad, I'm using a vending machine. And I was like, what, a vending machine? I probably should do one of those. And I thought to myself, where could I put a vending machine? Like if I'm in Africa. And I'm like, would I even make money if I put a vending machine down? And the reality is this. Now, one of the things you want to do is secure the vending machine. But the reality is this. Yeah, if there's a vending machine, maybe not every individual will go to it to get whatever it is that you're selling in the vending machine. But guess what? Somebody most likely will. You put it in a crowded area, somebody most likely will. And that's what the group mind kind of mentality is. On an individual level. Because there could be some people who are very averse to technology. There could be people who are very welcoming of technology. On an individual level. You don't have to worry about that. And even, there could be people who are like, hey, like I'll put it this way, matter of fact. I'll do it this way. When I went to high school, right, there was a corner store. Not a corner store. What do they call? Not a corner store, but like a deli, right? Right across the street. And so after school, I never got allowance. I never got money. But because, my good friend at the time, when I was in middle school, my good friend at the time would go to that store after school. I would end up going to that store after school. And because he would say, I'm ordering a bacon, egg, and cheese or whatever, I would order a bacon, egg, and cheese on his dollar. He offered. And the point is that even though on an individual level I might have been averse, I might have been unprepared, the point is that eventually I started ordering from the same place too. And I promised him, I said, look, I'll pay you back when we get older. And sure enough, when I bumped into him when we were older, I handed him a $100 bill. And I don't know, he had a money clip and he was he was balling, so I was like, whatever. But the point is, yeah, group psychology, regardless of what you might like me individually, I'm not going to no damn store to get some little sandwich from some little Arab man, right? But group, yeah, as a group, I would do it. I hang out with my friends and do whatever. But that's what it is. So he says, the question naturally arose, if we understand the mechanisms and motives of the group mind, is it not possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing it? And the thing is this, that Arab man, he don't know me. He doesn't care about my proclivities, but he makes bank, or he made bank. He made a profit off of me. Now, no, granted, that wasn't my money, but the fact that I ordered from my friend, and like I did eventually pay my friend, so he made a profit by understanding the group, which was simply, I'm going to offer the teenagers breakfast. I'm going to offer teenagers chips and juices. And this is what everybody does. And you got to pay attention to what everybody's doing if you want to see things get done. So authors or some says, I got that peace during that week of no Wi-Fi and power after the storm here. Yeah, there you go. So Arthur Joy, I believe he's still in America, right? And he said, look, as soon as he had no Wi-Fi, no power, as soon as you cut yourself off from the outside, from the group propaganda, you start feeling better. I mean, look, a lot of people, I tell you, like one time I remember this brother, I shouldn't even say brother, he got contorted. But I would tell him, look, man, turn off the social media. Turn off the social media. And when he does, he feels a little better. But when he gets back into it, I'm telling you, oh man, these Africans, man, you see how stupid these Africans are? You see, blah, blah, blah. You see how Africans? And you're like, he was a Tariq Nasheedian. Okay? But you're going to feel that way as long as you are online. I'll tell you guys that, I forgot. Actually, I think I uploaded it. No, I didn't upload it. Shit. All right, but there's this one video of mine that I tell you, it still remains the most beautiful thing I've seen in Africa. Okay, let me see if I can actually find it. But it's the most beautiful thing I've seen in Africa. And what it is it's like, I think it's like a 13-second clip or something. But it's a market. Okay? It's a market. Oh yeah, I can't find it right now. But it's a market where people are just going to this big traditional. I don't know how you say it, but like it's like they carved out a big space. Think of like one of them ancient Greek forums or something like that. Because I know we've been westernized, so we whatever. But like basically like a big clearing. And everybody, and like a whole bunch of vendors just putting their wares on the floor, people to pass through and purchase. And the point is this: you've never seen this in your life. They see this every week. There is a whole world, I know it's a Shakespeare quote, but it goes back to my brother from another mother, J.A. Rogers. He says, he decides to quote Shakespeare in the beginning of his book, 100 Things. Like 100 Amazing Facts about the Negro, right? And in that quote, he says, Shakespeare says, Horatio, there are more things in heaven and earth than are in your philosophies. Okay? And what it means is that you can never imagine everything going on this planet. There's so much going on this planet, and you're not even seeing 0.1% of it. So whatever outrage you are experiencing is the outrage you're experiencing from a 0.1% that other people are directing towards you. Okay? That 0.1%, and all you have to do to be a peace of mind is to go to a different 0.1%. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. The people in that market don't even know where the freak Ukraine, don't even know that Ukraine and Russia are at war. Don't even know about Vladimir Putin. Don't even know about Xi Jinping. They don't know about Biden. They don't know about Kamala. They don't know about people saying Kamala's this. People know people saying Biden's that. They don't know people saying Trump is this. They don't know any of that shit. They know to go to their market, get their beer after work, party, try to get laid, whatever. That's all they know. And that's fine. They're at peace. Let me tell somebody I'm a thing. Yeah. But like my thing is My thing is this. You gotta know, like you have to realize that like a lot of the images, unless you go by yourself, a lot of the images you discover about the world. I thought I turned off this ringtone. A lot of those images are being taken from are other people giving it to you. Are other people giving it to you? All right. So let's keep going. But this is and again, people want to control you. It's not even a question. It's not even a question. People are actively trying to control you, and the reality is that if you put your, let's say emotions here, I think he says it, but if you put your emotions and impulses into this stuff, they're doing their job. They're doing their job, and I mean I'm guilty of this too. But again, like for instance. If like I think yesterday I was talking about right now there's a so the social influencers, the influencers are going against the black influencers, they're going against the Palestinian influencers and blah blah blah. That drama might not be a real thing, but look at what the word is that I just used, influencer. They don't. It's in plain sight. They are there to influence you. So that you can think that what they're portraying is a reality. But again, like I said, when you remove yourself from that little corner, right? A completely different world. Completely. And I don't know, and you guys were like, probably somebody sitting there like, no, it's not complete, No, I mean, I'm honest with you. The other side of the planet is completely different from what you're experiencing. And the thing is this, that you are being convinced that it's not too different. That like for instance, sometimes we say, black people are catching hell everywhere. No, we're not. No, we're not. We are not. But propaganda exists to convince you that we are. Now, I'm not saying that there are not people on the other side of the world catching hell. Yeah, there's people in the world catching worse hell than you are. Absolutely. And they're black. Absolutely. But it's not a universal phenomenon whatsoever. There are black youth in black schools right now having a good ass black experience. Okay? Very good. And there's black youth in some black places who have never even, sometimes we say, like another thing we also say is, African Americans, we set the standard for something. Some people don't even know you exist. Matter of fact, especially 10 years ago, 20 years ago, some people were like, I didn't even know black people were in America. but like real talk, some people don't even know you exist. They don't. Not everybody's invested in that little corner that you are. You might be invested. Absolutely. But once you change that, but again, somebody is portraying you in a certain way. And the way how I can tell you this is look at this. Look right here. We in the black conscious community, we know white folk ain't shit. We know white folk be on that evil shit, all that, so on and so on, that bad time. But guess what? You know how many black people don't? Even in America? Do you know how many black people don't? You know how many black people, especially young black people, who look up to white folk? Do you know how many? It's a huge. It's probably the majority, honestly. It's probably the majority, honestly. Like for instance, sometimes, like I could tell you guys this, like especially when I was younger, a lot of black folk used to be afraid of, guess what? Black folk. If you was watching the nightly news, see, the reason why I'm not even nearly, perturbed by black folk right now is because I stopped watching the news. But back in the day, people used to watch news on the television every damn night. Black man did this crime. Black man did that crime. Black man stabbed somebody. Black man shot somebody. Black man killed somebody. Black man did this. Black man's a prayer for murder. Black man's this. Every damn night. And you know what happened? Everybody was afraid of young black men. Everybody. Black folk included. We'd pass around, black folk would shoot you if you stepped on their shoes. I'll tell you, one time I was on the bus and I stepped on somebody's shoes. I just kept apologizing. I was like, sorry, man. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he's all like, hey, it's cool. It's cool. And I'm just apologizing because, the reality is this, that real talk, there was some black folk who was going around killing motherfuckers for that. I'm just being honest. But now, were they around me? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe one or two. But that's what propaganda could do. Now, of course, I just wasted all that time on the first paragraph. Anyway, so the recent practice of propaganda. Let me see what the comments are. Actually, no comments. All right. So the recent practice of propaganda has proved that it is possible, at least up to a certain point and within certain limits. Mass psychology is as yet far from being an exact science, and the mysteries of human motivation are by no means all revealed. But at least theory and practice have combined with sufficient success to permit us to know that in certain cases we can affect some change in public opinion with a fair degree of accuracy by operating a certain mechanism, just as the motorist can regulate the speed of his car by manipulating the flow of gasoline. So again, you can change public opinion with a fair degree of accuracy. And again, this is from 1928. I don't know if you guys can see the header on the video. Okay, you can't. Let me pull it down a little bit. Oh, sorry, I pulled up the wrong thing. I put the stick aside by mistake. Alright. Let me pull it down a little bit. Oh, it's not showing at all. Alright. But the title of the window is Propaganda 1928. Okay? So, this was written in 1928. So, people have devoted themselves to this study. And I'm telling you, people have devoted themselves to this study. I know this for a fact in the sense of this. Because again, sometimes you gotta devote yourself. And I'm not saying like you take classes on in university, although you can, right? I'm not saying you can't or that you can. What I'm saying is that I remember I saw this white boy. I was in the library and I think I was reading through a book or something, and I saw this white boy next to me, and he was reading through a book, but his book was like how to manipulate people or how to deceive people type stuff. And I think he had like 3 volumes. Like 3 different books with the same kind of theme. So what I'm saying is that there are some people who are actually studying this stuff. Now, if you don't study it, that's fine. Now, here's the thing you got to realize. Here's one thing you want to pick up on. There's a lot of things you don't study. And I don't mean you personally, because again, you could be a pretty damn well-studied person. But what I'm saying, generally speaking, there's a lot of things that black folk ain't studying. This is why one of my favorite ancestors, I'm gonna put y'all real. One of my favorite ancestors, one of the books that really one of the speeches that really had me thinking like almost like happy tears. Like you're reading an ancestor and you saying, oh, they say they cooking. That's what I would say. Like they giving you direct advice. Julius Nyerere, right? And of course, I went to Tanzania, right? But Julius Nyerere gave me that. He started cooking for me. He was like, look, we got to focus on adult education. We got to focus on adult education. And one of the things that I thought about before that was, because when I used to walk around university towns and stuff, I realized that the universities were always placed outside. Like they could be adjacent to a black community, but they weren't in the black community. And I said to myself, you know what? It's possible that there are no universities in the let's say in the hood. Let's put it that way. Let's say in the hood, right? But anyway, so let's keep going. Wait, hold on a second. Let me just check the text. Yeah, Better Medicine says peace be the medicine. Yeah, yesterday we was cooking. Y'all go make sure you go check out Shoot the Breeze. Up until the icing brother, we was cooking. I was just messing. He was good. He was alright. Alright, so operating a certain mechanism, just as the motorist can regulate the speed of his car by manipulating the flow of hold on a second, let me turn off my ringtone. Apparently that's my son, but I can't. Just as the motorist can regulate the speed of his car by manipulating the flow of gasoline. Propaganda is not a science in the laboratory sense, but it is no longer entirely the empirical affair that it was before the advent of the study of mass psychology. Again, adult education, there should be people devoted to the study of mass psychology. And there are people. It's just, are you producing those people? And here's the thing. Actually, matter of fact, I'll tell you guys the truth. Let me finish this paragraph, then I'm going to tell you guys the truth. All right? So it is now scientific in the sense that it seeks to base its operations upon definite knowledge drawn from... It's now scientific in the sense that it seeks to base its operation upon definite knowledge drawn from direct observation of the group mind and upon the application of principles which have been demonstrated to be consistent and relatively constant. Now, let me see what the name of this paragraph is. Oh, Psychology of Public Relations. All right. And of course, public relations is something you can study. But now, here's the thing I want to tell you guys. Truth. So, when I was in UAM, United African Movement, before I got there, in fact, the reason why I went there was because this man named Charles Barron, he's like a congressman in Brooklyn, and he he was talking a good game, and he was like, make sure you guys join our effort for the Freedom Party, and so then I went to the meeting where the Freedom Party was having, and they said you come to the UAM, and that's how I got into the UAM. But what's interesting is that I met an elder there, and the sister was telling me, she was giving me the scoop on different folk, because she was an elder, so she would pass on the knowledge to young people who are humble and willing to listen. That was me at the time, right? And I mean, I still am, but you know what I'm saying. So she gives me the scoop, and she's like, first off, Charles Barron and even a few of the other leaders, at least one of the other leaders in the group, was he went to a particular church, right? I want to say it's Reverend Daughtry, but anyway, he went to a particular church. And, that church was right across the street from a police precinct, they said. But it's on Atlantic Avenue, if anybody want to know. But he went to that church. And, the church, actually, if you go there, has a lot of black iconography, right? But one of the things that she also mentioned about Charles Barron was that he was studying public speaking and public, like psychology. And not psychology, but like they had, like, courses. I don't know if it was a church that offered it or if there was some other thing that he went to, but he was studying, let's just say, public relations. He was studying how to actively do propaganda. And so the guy was a masterful speaker and was going through the community with pretty damn good skill. Like, if you guys listen to him, you might get caught up in, this is a genuine brother, right? But I'm telling you, this guy's a traitor. But at the same time, I'm letting you know there are some black people who do actually study this sort of stuff. And actually, I think it's possible that a lot of these podcasters do too. Because I'll be honest with you, like, even listen to me. My podcast, listening to me is probably not as engaging as listening to some other people. And I tell you, a lot of times I'm listening to some people who are podcasting and I'm like saying to myself, this is not engaging whatsoever. Like, the way they're talking is not great. The way they're expressing, it's not good. And then you listen to some of these other people, and yeah, they're actually engaging pretty good. Like, if you didn't know better, you would get convinced. But here's the thing: a lot of these people, or at least I'll tell you about Charles Barron and like other people, but a lot of them do actually do the studies, or at least that's what my elder shared with me. And she had no reason to tell me otherwise. Now, granted, maybe I might have had some pushback. I might have pushed back then, so who knows? But the point is that there are people who do this. And if it's not some black folk, definitely some white folk. I'll just put it that way. All right? I'll just put it that way. Looking at the comments, no comments. So, the modern propagandist studies systematically and objectively the material with which he is working in the spirit of the laboratory. If the matter in hand is a nationwide sales campaign, he studies the field by means of clipping service or of a corps of scouts or by personal study at a crucial spot. He determines, for example, which features of a product are losing their public appeal and in what new direction the public taste is veering. He will not fail to investigate to what extent it is the wife who has the final word in the choice of her husband's car or of his suits and shirts. So, again, you do a systematic study of results. Okay? Results of your efforts, and that way you can, for this example, you can sell better, But also, again, remember, influence better. A lot of people do study to be influencers. Okay? You might not see it because they're not telling you. But a lot of people do study to be influencers. And remember what influencing is, right? So scientific accuracy of results is not to be expected because many of the elements of the situation must always be beyond his control. He may know with a fair degree of certainty that under favorable circumstances, an international flight will produce a spirit of goodwill, making possible even the consummation of political programs. But he cannot be sure that some unexpected event will not overshadow this flight in the public interest, or that some other aviators may not do something more spectacular the day before. Even in his restricted field of public psychology, there must always be a wide margin of error. Propaganda, like economics and sociology, can never be an exact science for the reason that its subject matter, like theirs, deals with human beings. So again, that's a social scientist, right? If you can influence the leaders, either with or without their conscious cooperation, you automatically influence the group which they sway. You hear that? Now, I don't know if I have that video. Did I show you guys the last time? There's a video of I wish I still had it. There's a video of the American leadership. Okay? And some people are like, is this an Israeli lobby? Right? Like every U.S. representative, or, well, not everyone, but enough, sufficiently, outside of their office, has the flag of Israel. Or we stand with Israel type stuff. Type iconography. This is in their own offices, their own lobbies, their own hallways. This is, and so it's like you don't have to influence the majority of people. I'm not saying the majority of people are one way or the other, but what people are studying is saying go to the leaders, and that's why a lot of times when we say, man, in Africa, why they not doing, why not that, blah blah blah, why they do this, why they do that. And how they listen to this white person. The white person is not interacting or engaging with 95% of black folk. He's not. He's engaging with the leadership. And the thing is this, if you were engaging with the leadership, you could have some solid gains for you and yours, or even the people in general, too. It's just that, for some reason, a lot of us tend to think, well, let me engage with the masses of the people. And that's fine. You can engage with the masses of the people, but the masses of the people are being engaged by the leaders, and the leaders hold more sway. Because what are they? Keyword, leaders. You understand? What are they? Keyword, leaders. And that's it. Somebody told me this. As a matter of fact, Fred Hampton Jr. told me this. Well, not me directly, but I was in a group, and I was in the audience, and Fred Hampton Jr. So that's Fred Hampton's son, came through, and he said the reason why Kanye West said black people, said George Bush don't care about black people, right? Was because he and the other group, the other people of his group, confronted him, and pretty much told him, look, that's but I don't know if they told him to say that, but they pretty much confronted him and demanded that he said some stuff. Now, of course, the powers that be, they grab Kanye West and make him a freaking nutcase, and of course he is a nutcase. I'm not saying otherwise, but what I'm saying is that act of get the leader. And I'm not saying Kanye West is the leader. I'm just saying that act of reaching out to Kanye West was actually more profound. More effective than probably anything else that we've seen Fred Hampton Jr. do. And I'm not saying, that's no shade on Fred Hampton Jr. That's no shade on Fred Hampton Jr. It's just the reality that we haven't really heard from this guy. We haven't really, unfortunately, and the thing is that, and I'm saying that to say that, Fred Hampton Jr. is pretty damn active. And like I said, I heard him in person myself. But as far as the zeitgeist, as far as public opinion, getting Kanye West to say it was a bigger thing than a lot of the other stuff that he was saying. And of course, people then destroying Kanye West mentally and physically and what have you, it's like, they know what they're doing too. because they don't have to target Kanye West. They don't only target Kanye West, but they don't have to. But they target him because, oh yeah, you know what? If you can influence the leaders, either with or without their conscious cooperation, you automatically sway. You automatically influence the group which they sway. And that's it. And unfortunately, I mean, for what it's worth, you might say, well, Kanye West doesn't sway any sort of group that you know. Yeah, he doesn't sway any credit group you know. But, yeah, he sways some groups. Or especially back then. Okay? Especially back then. And I'm saying that because today you have this character, Kendrick Lamar, who a lot of black people started talking about slavery all of a sudden. Because of his song "They Not Like Us." So it is very like, and of course, I'm not trying to use a celebrity example, but this is something that people do. They go to, if they want to sway the Rwandan people, they go to Kagame. They don't go to the Rwandan people. They go to Kagame and his close staff, that kind of stuff, right? If they want to sway let's say Uganda, they go to Museveni. Okay? If they want to sway freaking America, they go to Biden and Trump and Kamala. That's where they go to. And you know this because where did Netanyahu visit? Who did he visit? Did he visit you? If he wanted to sway black voters, did he visit you? Did he knock on your door and say, hey, I'm trying to convince you of my campaign? Did he? Or even that diehard, pro-Israelite, Did Netanyahu, when he visited, did he visit them? Like, be honest, did he? Because he didn't, but somehow they were swayed. And how were they swayed if he didn't visit them? If the one person that convinced them didn't visit them? This is the science. If you can influence the leaders, you automatically influence the group which they sway. That's it. But men do not need to be actually gathered together in a public meeting or in a street riot to be subject to the influence of mass psychology, because man is by nature gregarious. He feels himself to be a member of a herd, even when he is alone in his room with the curtains drawn. His mind retains the patterns which have been stamped on it by the group's influence. You feel like you are, whatever. I mean, again, I don't know who's listening. I mean, I know some people listening from Tanzania, so shout out to Tanzania. So, but other than that, all right, like you feel like you're a Tanzanian, you feel like you're an American, you feel like you're a Jamaican, you feel like, and again, and that's the thing too. I want to put it that way too. Like, for instance, me, never really. I mean, I've been to Jamaica a couple of times, but like, I mean, I know genetically, right, or lineage wise, I'm Jamaican. But even back when I was in junior high school, people would, or elementary school, people was like, you're not Jamaican. And if I'm in Jamaica, people are going to call me a damn Yankee, which is basically an American, right? But the reality is, in terms of my psychology, my mental patterns, how Jamaican am I? How Jamaican am I? Let's be honest. Like, okay, I understand the language. But beyond that, So anyway, and I'm not saying I'm like an American, 100% neither. I'm just saying that, you might not get the pattern stamped onto you. You might not get the group influence if you're not in the group. Or if you're not in proximity or exposed to the same things the group is exposed to. On a general level. Generally speaking, I'm telling you the truth. For a long time, I was convinced, I'm an African American of Jamaican heritage. For a long time. Shout out to ADOS for telling me otherwise, but or the people before ADOS too. But it is what it is. So a man sits in his office deciding what stocks to buy. He imagines, no doubt, that he is planning his purchases according to his own judgment. In actual fact, his judgment is a melange of impressions stamped on his mind by outside influences which unconsciously control his thought. He buys a certain railroad stock because it was in the headlines yesterday, and hence is the one which comes most prominently to his mind, because he has a pleasant recollection of a good dinner on one of its fast trains, because it has a liberal labor policy, reputation for honesty, because he has been told that J.P. Morgan owns some of his shares. And again, that's what it is. Sometimes when you go investing, when you go buy stocks, or when you go buy your crypto, or whatever you buy, right? Whenever you go buy land, in a certain area, it's not because of, sometimes it's not because of your own personal judgment. Sometimes. Now, I'm not saying you can't go to a piece of land and say, you know what, I want this land because X, Y, Z. Because that's what I did. I went to Africa and I looked around at different plots of land and I said, you know what, this one's too dry, this one's too this one's too small, this one's too, blah, blah, blah. But, this neighbor sucks. You know what I mean? But so we'll just leave it to the stock example. I was just giving broader, but we'll give it to the stock example. But a lot of these stocks, you don't know, you're not in the inner workings of some of these companies. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't never been, you just going by, my dad works for, for AT&T. You know what I mean? My dad works for AT&T, so I'm going to get the AT&T stock. Or, I got Alienware computers, so I'm gonna get Alienware stock, or the Steam Deck is the shit, so I'm gonna get me a Valve, a Valve stock. Matter of fact, that actually sounds like a good plan right there. but that's what I'm saying. Well, we'll just go on for that because everybody knows that one. Let me see what the comments are in case no comments. All right, so y'all enjoying this or what? All right, so Trotter and Le Bon concluded that the group mind does not think in the strict sense of the word. In place of thoughts, it has impulses, habits, and emotions. In making up its mind, its first impulse is usually to follow the example of a trusted leader. You see that? Look, I'm telling you, man. Because before I even heard of Tariq Nasheed and them, I heard of the term HNIC, Head Negro in Charge. And the idea behind it is that, usually when shit happens, you'd expect black people to go get mad. And then what they do is, white folk would do is they would roll out the HNIC, Head Negro in Charge, who would tell them, don't get mad, go vote or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get mad, do something that's not violent. And look, guys, I'll be honest with you. I understand why America would not want you to be violent. Okay? Even when it's violent with you, I understand why America would not want you to be violent. And of course, the religion, the Christian religion tells you turn the other cheek, right? But I understand why, because again, if you're running a nation, you don't necessarily want your citizens to be violent, right? Or your citizens, or even people who are not citizens. You just wouldn't want people within your border to be violent. You'd want yourself to be violent. So again, I'm not saying one way or the other. But the thing is this, that honestly, humans are probably violent. You know what I mean? Like honestly, humans are probably intrinsically violent. Okay? Probably intrinsically violent. And I don't want to say even probably. What I'll say is this. And I actually regret this. I regret this a lot. But one time when I was younger, no, not when I was younger. My son was younger. He did something bad, so I gave him a little slap, and he slapped me right back. And then I had to give him a bigger slap and say, don't slap your father. And I guess he probably misinterpreted that to be nonviolent. So I kind of regret that myself. But what I'm saying is this, though. The freaking baby, if you slap a baby will slap you back. Okay? So the human has to be socialized to not have that impulse. And unfortunately, and again, there's a lot of socialization going on so that you would not have that impulse. One of them is obviously the church. The other one is obviously the police force. I mean, you might say to yourself, man, I should beat the shit out of somebody. And then you realize, you know what? The police would arrest me. You know what I'm saying? Like, the police would arrest me and I would get in trouble. I would go to prison for freaking for assault. So you just don't do that. I'll tell you, man, one time I was unfortunately, a good brother of mine decided to I don't know, he wanted to step to me. And look, I would have stepped to him. But then we looked across the street and we saw the police right there. So he was like, you know what? Fuck off. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot that goes into your social control, and that's okay. It's okay, right? And the other part is this, that they're saying is this. Another way to control the impulses of the human is to give them a trusted leader. And here's the thing. When you feel like those grifters are trustworthy, right? You believe them. You believe them. And I mean, I don't know why I keep giving examples, but I'll give this example too. When I was in middle school, or maybe high school, right? Yeah, when I was in high school, and I keep going back to school, but you know, it is what it is. That was probably my biggest social experiences right there. But when I was back in high school, I just came off as a very honest individual, right? And because I came off as a very honest individual, one time, the dean of the high school approached me and asked me, hey, what happened? Did this happen? So on and so forth. And because I just seemed so honest, I could lie very easily. And so, yeah, I lied to the guy and said, no, this is, you know, I didn't see blah, 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 blah. And that was it. But it's like, yeah, people look for somebody who is trustworthy. And a lot of these people give off trustworthy things. So this is why at some point, like, in fact, this is why I think, really, this is kind of teaching you something. If you want to challenge some of these grifters, show how they are not trustworthy. Show how they lied. Show how they stole. Focus on that. You know? Focus on that. Because if you focus on, hey, look, I disagree with them. Okay, you disagree with them. What about it? You know what I mean? Like, you could disagree with somebody. You could, you know, oh, I don't like, you know, they like chocolate, you like vanilla. You know? Or, you know, you don't like vanilla. As a matter of fact, you like, they like chocolatey clear. And, no, they like, all right, you guys get it. But anyway, they like mint, you like chocolate. How about that? Right? This is disagreement. Nobody cares. You gotta show, you gotta expose how they are not trustworthy. Because the thing is this, a lot of us who don't like these people don't like them because we don't trust them. That's it. Anyway, so this is one of the most firmly established principles of mass psychology. It operates in and look at that, the most firmly established principles of mass psychology. And look, I'm just learning it today. But bomba clot. So I might put this on my list of books the European produces that we should read as a people. But anyway, this is one of the most firmly established principles of mass psychology. It operates in establishing the rising or diminishing prestige of a summer resort, in causing a run of a bank or a panic on the stock exchange, in creating a bestseller or a box office success. So that's actually pretty interesting. They're saying a bestseller or a box office success from having a trusted leader. And of course, you know, this is kind of, I know this because, like, I don't know who this guy is, but when I was younger, I kept hearing, oh, this movie's from M. Night Shyamalan, so we got to check him out. You know? Or even like Harry Potter series, it's like, I can't remember the lady's name, but, you know, some lady wrote a book and people like it because she wrote the book, you know? That kind of stuff. Or Steven Spielberg, I think, is another one. Alright, so anyway, let me just see the comments again. I just checked the comments and thing. Oh, Real Black Gentleman's here. RBG's here. Shout out to the fam. Everybody waking up. Shout out. So, shout out to RBG. Alright, so, but when the example of the leader is not at hand and the herd must think for itself, it does so by means of cliches, pat words, or images which stand for a whole group of ideas or experiences. Not many years ago, it was only necessary to tag a political candidate with the word interest to stampede millions of people into voting against him, because anything associated with the interest seemed necessarily corrupt. Interesting. All right. So recently the word Bolshevik has performed a similar service for persons who wish to frighten the public away from a line of action. And again, look. I'll tell you guys this, matter of fact. I just experienced this yesterday. I don't want to say who the sister was, but some sister went on live, and she was like, you got to watch out for Kamala Harris. Sin. I think her name is Kamala Harris or Kamala Harrison. I don't remember. But you got to watch out for Kamala, right? Because I forget her name. You got to watch out for Kamala because she's pushing communism on us. And that's the thing that we're not even picking up on. That's the thing that and in fact, I'll give this white boy credit on social media because I didn't understand why he was even saying it. But he's like, there's no there's no politician who's a communist, right? In the last 100 years or something like that. In America, like real talk, right? But anyway, I'm like, why is he even saying that? Who cares, right? But apparently, this is where it comes from. This guy is saying, if you can associate somebody with communism, you'll get millions of people to vote against them. And I'm repeating this because I was just on Reddit, right? And somebody was saying, how in the world are 70 million people going to vote for Donald Trump? They said, how are 70 million people... And they was looking at an example of the guy, and they were like, yeah, there's no way that I would vote... Like, anybody intelligent would vote for him. And it's like, the key thing is this. Donald Trump is painting Kamala Harris as a communist, and a lot of Americans are afraid of communists in the government. Not for no reason. Now, again, is Kamala Harris a communist? No. And here's the thing. No, sorry. The thing I wanted to say was that the sister, and this was actually yesterday, the sister was talking about Kamala Harris as a communist. And I was like, where does that even make any sense? But, like, that's something that, and yeah, Kamala Harris. But that's something that, actually, let me look at the comments to see if somebody said it. Yeah. A bit of medicine said Harris, yeah. But yeah, I just realized because I after you say her name enough, you think. But yeah. But like, yeah, if you believe, if you believe that Kamala Harris is a communist, yeah, you're gonna get millions of people to vote against her. Okay, and to us, we might be like, because like you go on a Bit of Medicine podcast, and you got Black Steel, who's basically a communist, right, or a socialist or whatever, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. You're not against the communists. You're not going to vote against somebody because they're a communist. Because they're like Black Steel. Like if Black Steel's running for election, you vote for him. I would. You know what I mean? But a lot of other people see it very, 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 very differently. Okay, and this guy is saying this was 100 years ago. So just imagine 100 years later. So by playing upon an old cliche or manipulating a new one, the propagandist can sometimes swing a whole mass of group emotions. In Great Britain, during the war, the evacuation hospitals came in for a considerable amount of criticism because of the summary way in which they handled their wounded. It was assumed by the public that a hospital gives prolonged and conscientious attention to its patients. When the name was changed to evacuation posts, the critical reaction vanished. So, just the name. It was evacuation hospital, and they moved people really quickly, and people were outraged, right? Why would a hospital move people quickly? So all they did was change the name, critical evacuation post. People were like, okay. No one expected more than an adequate emergency treatment from an institution so named. The cliche hospital was indelibly associated in the public mind with a certain picture. To persuade the public to discriminate between one type of hospital and another, disassociate the cliche from the picture it evoked, which would have been an impossible task. Discriminate between one type of hospital and another, to dissociate the cliche from the picture it evoked, would have been an impossible task. Instead, a new cliche automatically conditioned the public emotion toward these hospitals. So, as soon as they take away the word hospital and turn it to post, people shut up. Well, I'm at the hospital and I can't, just like, oh, I'm in the post. Okay. Men are rarely aware of the real reasons which motivate their actions. A man may believe that he buys a motor car because, after careful study of the technical features of all makes on the market, he has concluded that this is the best. He is almost certainly fooling himself. He bought it perhaps because a friend whose financial acumen he respects bought one last week, or because his neighbor believed he was not able to afford a car of that class, or because its color are those of his college fraternity. So it's like, yeah, you might think you're making thing, and it might not be the case. It is chiefly this, and again, like I said, it's not universal because when I bought land, but again, part of the reason why I bought land in the area that I bought it was, yeah, people were telling me buy it in these sort of areas. They were like, limit it to these sort of areas. If that's your budget, don't go to this area, that area, that area. So, to a large extent, even when you're doing because like even if you say, oh, well, I'm going to buy a car from this website, Well, they're not showing you every car on the market. They're showing you every car in their catalog. You know? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, to get you to purchase from their catalog, they're going to show you their catalog and try to appeal to you through their catalog. It's not that, you're studying every damn car ever possible. And again, logistically, it wouldn't make sense for you to do that. But I mean, another way to put it, in fact, too, is this. I don't know if you guys know this, but China is making really damn good phones. None of us has a Chinese phone. Okay? And even black folk are making some pretty damn good phones. I don't know, maybe one or two of us has a black phone, but, probably not. A lot of us, when we go to buy phones, we're buying it from white folk, especially the big brand names. Now, me personally, I have bought and like when I did go out and buy a phone that wasn't really a big brand phone. No, I tend to buy the small brand that still, has the good reviews, which again is social, like one of the things I do when I'm searching for a phone is I look for social reviews. And I did buy some cheap phones for myself, like $50, $60, that kind of cheap, right? But when I bought my son a phone, I had to look up, hard, heavy duty type phones that you could like drop from a building. And sure enough, there's a whole market for it, there's a small market for it. But again, and of course you trust the reviews. But again, you're not looking through all the. You're not looking at a Chinese phone. You're not looking at Japanese phones. You're not looking at African American phones. You're not looking at Ugandan phones. You're looking at American phones, pretty much, or what America sells in its markets. And that's what it is. Like even when you say, oh, my favorite show or my favorite, cartoon or my favorite whatever, a lot of it is something curated for you. And that so it's not like you see like I've seen recently, there's some movies that I've really enjoyed that I've never had any sort of exposure to. That, like I said, I never watched an Indian movie before I want to say like 5 months ago. You know what I mean? I've never watched an Indian movie before 5 months ago. India, and for I want to say for 10 years, I've known that in like 10 years ago at least, India was the most prolific film industry on the planet. The most prolific film industry on the planet. India was not. Nigeria was second. America, I think, was third or something like that. And I've never seen an Indian movie. And even like I tell you, I go visit my dad. My dad's watching these old Chinese movies. Never really watching it myself. But the point is that of course, I'm not really a cinephile, so that's part of it. And I wasn't really watching American movies either. I'm not gonna hold you guys, but of course I've watched some American movies. But the point is that you're a lot of what you think is your choice. I'm gonna go watch this show because blah blah blah. Kinda. Like I'll put it even this way. One of the conscious sisters on Twitter, she was talking about the ending to Marvel Endgame or something like that. The ending was that was so good. I ended up going watching the whole series. But I ended up watching that movie, then whatever. And I ended up watching, but I had to watch a series to catch up to what was going on. But like, it was because of somebody else's opinion, not me. I was never moved to watch the stuff. So I didn't watch any of the Marvel stuff before that. Anyway, so yeah. So let's keep reading. So it is chiefly the psychologists of the school of Freud who have pointed out that many of man's thoughts and actions are compensatory substitutes for desires which he has been obliged to suppress. A thing may be desired not for its intrinsic worth or usefulness, but because he has unconsciously come to see it as a symbol of something else, the desire for which he is ashamed to admit it himself. A man buying a car may think he wants it for purposes of locomotion, whereas the fact may be that he would really prefer not to be burdened with it, and would rather walk for the sake of his health. He may really want it because it is a symbol of social position, an evidence of his success in business, or a means of pleasing his wife. And this is me right now. Like I don't drive. I don't really, like, when I'm in Tanzania, I don't really be going places. But my lady is like, let's get a car. Let's get a car. Let's get a car. And the part of the reason why she wants a car is she wants it for the social position, I would imagine. You know? And of course she does go out more than me, so maybe she's like, you know, want to go to the grocery store or something. I don't know. But the reality is, yeah, people might, like me personally, I'm the guy who's like, I'm thinking about getting a car. Even though I would rather walk, even though I can't drive. I'm thinking about getting a car to please my wife. You know, this general principle that men are very largely actuated by motives which they conceal from themselves is as true of mass as of individual psychology. It is evident that the successful propagandist must understand the true motives and not be content to accept the reasons which men give for what they do. You know? So if you see somebody and you want to sell them a car, you say, you want to attract the ladies? You want to please your wife? You know, I already have a lady. Okay, you know, your wife probably wants to, you know, probably doesn't want to handle grocery bags. You know? It is not sufficient to understand only the mechanical structure of society, the groupings and cleavages and loyalties. An engineer may know all about the cylinders and pistons of a locomotive, but unless he knows how steam behaves under pressure, he cannot make his engine run. Human, and you know, shout out to Brother Makari, he knows an engineer who's making his own engine, black man. So he has, you know, young black man, you know, and we gotta support those kind of endeavors. But let's keep going. It says, human desires are the steam which makes a social machine work. Okay, human desires are the steam. Only by understanding them can the propagandist control the vast, loose-jointed mechanism which is modern society. The old propaganda based his work on the mechanistic reaction psychology then in vogue in our colleges. This assumed that the human mind was merely an individual machine, a system of nerves and nerve centers reacting with mechanical regularity to stimuli, like a helpless, willless automaton. It was the special pleader's function to provide the stimulus which would cause this desired reaction in the individual purchaser. So he's saying this is wrong, right? Don't look at humans as nerves and nerve centers with regularity to stimuli like automatons. Don't look at us like that. It was one of the doctrines of the reaction psychology that a certain stimulus, often repeated, would create a habit, that mere reiteration of an idea would create a conviction. Suppose the old type of salesmanship acting for a meat packer was seeking to increase the sale of bacon. It would reiterate innumerable times in full package advertisements, eat more bacon, eat bacon because it is cheap, because it is good, because it gives you reserve energy. So that was the old time ad. The newer salesmanship, understanding the group structure of society and the principles of mass psychology, would first ask, who is it that influences the habits of the public? The answer obviously is the physician. So he's like, look, your leader in health is your physician. You go to the physician and have the physician advocate for bacon. Okay, so he says the new salesman will then suggest to physicians to say publicly that it is wholesome to eat bacon. You see? He knows as a mathematical certainty that large numbers of persons will follow the advice of their doctors because he understands the psychological relation of dependence of men upon their physicians. And you might say to yourself, that sounds like nonsense. First off, who the freak would tell you to go eat bacon? Right? But that sounds like nonsense. But guess what? No, actually, I'll say two things. One, why the hell are so many people eating chicken? I'm not saying chicken don't taste good. I'm not saying that. And a lot of people eat it. No matter of fact, some people are eating boiled chicken. And you know damn well boiled chicken don't taste no damn good. Right? But why are you doing that? Because the physicians. And then you say to yourself, well, what about bacon? You know, who eats bacon? And guess what? Would you believe that people all over the world are trying to eat bacon, egg, and cheese because they've seen it in a cartoon? Would you believe that? A lot of people are eating bacon because they've seen it in a damn cartoon or a damn TV show. You understand? Now, again, you know, you say to yourself, who is in the influence of eating habits in public? It's the physicians and the actors, and for us, for the black folks, the rappers. Say to yourself, who wants to wear a damn big ass chain? You know? You know, I tell you, there was a time when my brother was getting his ear pierced, and again, like I said, my father is Jamaican. Okay, he's not American, so he can't understand. He couldn't understand what his children were going through. Let's put it that way. There was a time when my brothers were like, they want to get their ear pierced. Why would they want to get their ear pierced? Now, for him, he's a Jamaican man. I think they got their ear pierced anyway. But and I think he probably advocated, supporting it. But the reality is this: at the time, like one of the things that we were saying, matter of fact, too, is this. Back then, back in the days, we were saying, if you got your ear pierced, I don't know which one it was, but let's say if you got your right ear pierced, no, your left ear pierced, that was gay. Now, your right ear is pierced, that's okay. But if your left ear is pierced, that's gay. I think even my dad was saying that too. So I mean, he might have been on the propaganda. He was propagandized as well. But of course, that don't make no damn sense. No way, no how. Where they get that damn idea from? And the thing is who was getting their ear pierced? A lot of rappers. And I'm not even saying that my brothers were into rap like that. I mean, we all were, obviously, but I don't think they were like deep into rap. I think what happened was that maybe their classmates were. You understand? And I mean, this happens. This continues to this day. But anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. Hold on a second. Let me see something. All right. So the old-fashioned propagandists. Oh, let me see what the comments are. I don't know. You guys remember the whole? If you get your left ear pierced, you gay. that was back in the day. There was low key homophobic back in the day. But again, even homophobia, has its propaganda roots. But anyway, the old fashioned, I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just saying that, a lot of things that we believe, or that we believed and then we stopped believing, a lot of it is socially constructed. I'll put it that way. I used to identify as a social constructivist, so I know exactly this was my field back in the day. So he says the old fashioned propagandists usually using almost exclusively the appeal of the printed word try to persuade individual readers to buy a definite article immediately. This approach is exemplified in a type of advertisement which used to be considered ideal from the point of view of directness and effectiveness. You, perhaps with a finger pointing at the reader, buy O'Leary's rubber heels now. That was the advertisement back in the day. And this is what you got to realize too. When you go to Africa, you realize that a lot of the masterful propaganda that you find in the West is not there. It's a different part of the world. They don't have the same... not everything happens around the world at the same time. So what they're learning inside of America, they probably already knew in Germany. They probably already knew in France, but they probably will not learn in certain areas of Africa for even another 10 years. Or maybe never they'll learn it. That's the reality of the world. So the ads... I don't know how the ads are right now. And I mean, Tanzania is not... It's kind of just like a picture of food. But... a picture of the heels or whatever, right? Or maybe no advertisement, honestly, right? But it's like, the advertisement back then was you buy these heels now. The advertiser sought by means of reiteration and emphasis directed upon the individual to break down or penetrate sales resistance. Although the appeal was aimed at 50 million persons, it was aimed at each as an individual. The new salesmanship has found it possible by dealing with men in the mass through their group formation, set up psychological and emotional currents which will work for him. Instead of assaulting sales resistance by direct attack, he is interested in removing sales resistance. He creates circumstances which will swing emotional currents so as to make for purchaser demands. If, for instance, I want to sell pianos, it is not sufficient to blanket the country with a direct appeal such as, you, buy our Mozart piano now. It is cheap. The best artists use it. It will last for years. The claim may all be true, but they are in direct conflict with the claim of other piano manufacturers, and in indirect competition with the claims of a radio or a motor car, each competing for the consumer's dollars. What are the true reasons why the purchaser is planning to spend his money on a new car instead of on a new piano? Because he has decided that he wants the commodity called locomotion more than what he wants the commodity called music? Not altogether. He buys the car because it is at the moment the group custom to buy cars. You see that? You buy cars because that's what the group is doing. As simple as that. And again, if the group's not doing that, you're not doing it. Like a lot of black folk ain't buying cars. Like matter of fact, even in New York, like I told you guys, in New York we don't have cars. A lot of us don't have cars. Why? Because in New York, we as New Yorkers, we don't buy cars. Are cars as useful in New York as they are in other parts of the world? Absolutely. I mean, of course, the parking sucks because some people do buy cars, but parking is not really priority. But like, yeah, you buy cars because the group is. Now, the modern propagandist, therefore, sets to work to create circumstances which will modify that custom. He appeals, perhaps, to the home instinct, which is fundamental. He will endeavor to develop a public acceptance of the idea of a music room in the home. Again, you're buying a computer for your music, you're buying a piano for your music room. This he may do, for example, by organizing an exhibition of period music rooms designed by well-known decorators who themselves exert an influence on the buying groups. He enhances the effectiveness and prestige of these rooms by putting in them rare and valuable tapestries. Then, in order to create dramatic interest in the exhibit, he stages an event or ceremony. To this ceremony, key people, persons known to influence the buying habits of the public, such as a famous violinist, a popular artist, and a society leader, are invited. These key persons affected other groups, lifting the idea of the music room to a place in the public consciousness which it did not have before. Juxtaposition of these leaders and the idea which they are dramatizing are then projected to the wider public through various publicity channels. Meanwhile, influential architects have been persuaded to make the music room an integral architectural part of their plans, with perhaps a special charming niche in one corner for the piano. Less influential architects will, as a matter of course, imitate what is done by the men whom they consider masters of their profession. They, in turn, will implant the idea of a music room in the mind of the general public. The music room will be accepted because it has been made the thing, and the man or woman who has a music room or has arranged a corner of the parlor as a music corner will naturally think of buying a piano. It will come to him as his own idea. Bada bing, bada boom. Under the old salesmanship, the manufacturer said to his prospective purchaser, "Please buy a piano." The new salesmanship has reversed the process and caused the prospective purchaser to say to the manufacturer, "Please sell me a piano." You see? It's now, of course, that sounds really complicated and really so on and so forth, but I mean, it also has its merits. A lot of black people started taking an interest in piano following some of the musicians who were on thing. And not just that, a lot of Americans would put it that way. A lot of Americans took an interest in music classes, music studies, or instruments, because the schools or whomever were telling you that, the scientists were telling you that music education was a good thing for students or for young minds. I'll even put it this way. When I was in high school, I think a study came out, or maybe it's already been out, who knows. But a study was linking listening to classical music as as a means of improving the intelligence or something like that. And sure enough, I don't know if my parents saw the thing, but I saw it, and I tried to listen to classical music myself. I tried. And of course there's other things like people say chess, playing chess and so on and so forth. So it's like a lot of times, you want to, you want to go according to, what propaganda does or what advertising does is it sets up the conditions so that you want to fulfill the thing, and it brings me back to this, they're not real African proverbs, but it brings me back to this collection of quotes that were alleged to be African proverbs, and one of them was that in order for something to happen, its complement has to elicit it, and the idea was Set causes Horus and Horus causes Set, but the idea is, or Heru, right? But the idea is that you have to elicit something by its complement, So, like for instance, how do you get a woman to say hi to you? Well, you say hi to her. You know what I'm saying? How does she get you to say hi to her without saying hi to you? She looks at you and, bats her eyes or something. You know what I mean? Like there's a give and take in this world. Some things are mechanical, and and I would just put statistically, some things are statistically sound. And we spoke about that in the some of the YouTube videos I put up earlier. So you guys check those out if you can. Right? So the value of the associative processes in propaganda is shown in connection with a large real estate development. To emphasize that Jackson Heights was socially desirable, every attempt was made to produce this associative process. A benefit performance of the jitney players was staged for the benefit of the earthquake victims of Japan under the auspice of Mrs. Astor's and others. The social advantages of the place were projected. A golf course was laid out and a clubhouse planned. When the post office was opened, the Public Relations Council attempted to use it as a focus for national interest and discovered that its opening fell coincident with a date important in the annals of the American Postal Service. This was then made the basis of the opening. When an attempt was made to show the public the beauty of this apartment, a competition was held among interior decorators for the best furnished apartment in Jackson Heights. An important committee of judges decided this competition drew the approval of well-known authorities as well as the interest of millions, who were made cognizant of it through the newspaper and magazine and other publicity with the effect of building up definitely the prestige of the development. One of the most effective methods is the utilization of the group formation of modern society in order to spread ideas. An example of this is the nationwide competition for sculptors in ivory soap, open to school children in certain age groups as well as professional sculptors. A sculptor of national reputation found ivory soap an excellent medium for sculpture. The Procter & Gamble company offered a series of prizes for the best sculpture in white soap. The contest was held under the auspices of the Art Center in New York City, an organization of high standing in the art world. School superintendents and teachers throughout the country were glad to encourage the movement as an educational aid for schools. Practice among school children as part of their art courses was stimulated. Contests were held between schools, between school districts, and between cities. Ivory soap was adaptable for sculpturing in the home because mothers saved the shavings and the imperfect efforts for laundry purposes. The work itself was clean. The best pieces are selected from the local commission for entry in the national contest. This is held annually at an important art gallery in New York, whose prestige, with that of the distinguished judges, established the contest as a serious art event. So he's really going in on this art event, but it sold art. It sold. In the first of these national competitions, about 500 pieces of sculpture were entered. In the third, 2,500. In the fourth, more than 4,000. If the carefully selected pieces were so numerous, it is evident that a vast number were sculptured during the year, and that a much greater number must have been made for practice purposes. The goodwill was greatly enhanced by the fact that the soap had become not merely the concern of the housewives, but also the matter of personal and intimate interest in her children. Right? So what they're saying is this: to get you to buy soap, like soap for laundry detergent, basically, but physical form. To get you to buy physical soap for laundry, they held an art competition in sculpting, invited schools to participate, and invited professional sculptors to advocate it. Make these beautiful pieces of soap, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, beautiful, whatever. But, make these pieces of soap competitively, and then all of a sudden, their sales are going through the roof. And we know their sales went through the roof because this was Procter & Gamble. And we know Procter & Gamble. Matter of fact, no, it's not. But yeah, we know Procter & Gamble. So anyway, a number of familiar psychological motives were set in motion in the carrying out of this campaign. The aesthetic, the competitive, the gregarious. Much of the sculpturing was done in school groups. The snobbish, the impulse to follow the example of a recognized leader. The exhibitionist, and last but not by no means least, the maternal. All these motives and group habits were put in concerned motion by the simple machinery of group leadership and authority. As if actuated by the pressure of a button, people began working for the client for the sake of the gratification obtained in the sculpture work itself. The point is most important in successful propaganda work. The leaders who lend their authority to any propaganda campaign will do so only if it can be made to touch their own interests. And you see that? That's another thing too. The leaders who lend their authority to any propaganda campaign will do so only if it can be made to touch their own interests. That's the reason why a lot of us are not reaching these quote-unquote grifters or whomever, or a lot of these politicians. We're not reaching them because we're not even trying to touch their interests, whereas other people are paying them. Other people are paying them. Other people are donating. Other people are giving to their campaigns or whatever, or whatever, their school or what have you. There must be a disinterested aspect of the propagandist's activities. In other words, it is one of the functions of the Public Relations Council to discover at what points his client's interests coincide with those of other individuals or groups. Sorry, that was kind of confusing. There must be a disinterested aspect of the propagandist's activities. In other words, it is one of the functions of the Public Relations Council to discover at what points his client's interests coincide with those of the... So again, the leader might be disinterested in what you're doing, but if you give them a little bit, they can give you a lot. You understand? If you can give them a little bit, they can get you a lot. If you telling people, look, I'll get you some votes, they can they'll come to you. And we know this. Let me just double check. All right. So in the case of the soap sculpture competition, the distinguished artists and educators who sponsored the idea were glad to lend their services and their names because the competition really promoted an interest which they had at heart, the cultivation of the aesthetic impulses among the younger generation, giving kids art. Such coincidence and overlapping of interests is as infinite as the interlacing of group formations themselves. For example, a railway wishes to develop its business. The Council on Public Relations makes a survey to discover at what points its interests coincide with those of its prospective customers. The company then establishes relations with chambers of commerce along its right-of-way and assists them in developing their communities. It helps them to secure new plants and industries for the town. It facilitates business through the dissemination of technical information. It is not merely a case of bestowing favors in the hopes of receiving favors. These activities of the railroad, besides creating goodwill, actually promotes growth on its right-of-way. The interests of the railway and the communities through which it passes mutually interact and feed one another. So the railway might invest in the community that it's in, right? So that people can ride the railway more, right? In the same way, a bank institutes an investment service for the benefit of its customers in order that the latter may have more money to deposit with the bank. Or a jewelry concern develops an insurance department to insure the jewels it sells in order to make the purchaser feel greater security in buying jewels. Or a baking company establishes an information service suggesting recipes for bread to encourage new users for bread in the home. And again, people weren't really using bread, I guess. I don't know. The ideas of the new propaganda are predicated on sound psychology based on enlightened self-interest. I have tried in these chapters to explain the place of propaganda in modern American life and something on the method by which it operates, to tell the why, the what, the who, and the how of the invisible government which dictates our thoughts, directs our feelings, and controls our actions. In the following chapters, I shall try to show how propaganda functions in specific departments of group activity, suggest some of the further ways in which it may operate. And that's actually the end of chapter 4. So, I appreciate everybody for coming through. Oh, we got a comment right here. Kwame Nsoa says, wrong way round left for man. Something right under it's American. It's an American thing. So let me see if I could make the screen smaller so I could. There's like the button was in the way. Well, let me see if it's on the screen. No, it's not on the screen. This stupid button is on the way. Man not right unless it's an American thing. Wrong way round left. Sorry, I can't even read it. It says wrong way round left for man not right unless it's a American thing. Right? So yeah, I mean not sure I understand, but I think I do. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Wrong way round left for man. Not right. Yeah. But anyway, so maybe you can explain that a little bit. I probably think, but yeah, that's pretty much the entire podcast. I appreciate everybody for coming through, stopping by. I think I want to again. I'm not gonna be in America for too long, so I might want to do another podcast sooner than later. But maybe it won't be on Sunday. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by, coming through. Shout out to everybody who's here, Brother Bakari, Arthur Jor. Well, let me see if I have all the comments. Oh, you see, I didn't even know Clever Girl Reading was here. Clever Girl Reading said, oh, wrong way, round left for man, not right unless it's American thing. Oh, okay, yeah, the air thing, yeah, true, yeah. I don't remember because it was like today we hear that and we're like that doesn't make any sense, right? like if one of your ears pierced, you know what I mean? Left ear was straight, right? But you see how all of us heard it, you know? And all of us, it made sense to all of us, but or maybe it didn't make sense. I don't know, but it was a thing back then where it was like, oh look, that person has a ring in their right ear, and yeah, I totally forgot about that conversation, but yeah, that guy has a thing in his right ear, and therefore he's gay, and it's like, is that like, does that really make sense? like I thought having an earring period was kind of like feminine, low key. Clever Girl Reading said, George Bush don't care about black people because we don't own anything. So males, please build us businesses, homes, hospitals, grocery stores, TV shows, movies, schools, create jobs, etc. And look, Clever Girl Reading is right. So sorry I didn't see it before. For some reason, it's not in live chat. It's not in top chat, but it's in live chat. And I was looking at top chat. But yeah, she's right. A lot of. But here's the thing. Again, like I said, you want to just go to Africa and build your stuff, because there's two reasons why. One, there's a lot of. In fact, I'll tell you guys this. I was on the airplane. I was right next to this Somali guy, right? And he was talking to me. And he was like, "Look, man, America's controlled by old money. You know what I mean? And Africa isn't yet. Africa is ripe for you to become the old money. Okay? For your people, your generations to become the old money. But right now, America has a big barrier to entry. Right? That's one part. The other part is this. And Africa has a way lower barrier to entry. Okay, a way low. Like, you want to start real estate in Africa. Like, you want to start real estate in New York City, right? You should have $1 million in the bank. Okay, you should have $1 million liquid, right? You want to start real estate in Africa. You should have $5,000 in the bank or something like that. Just a different barrier, just a different level of barrier of entry. And I'm not saying 5,000 is all you got. I'm just saying you don't have to have $1 million in the bank to start real estate businesses in Africa, right? Now, granted, like, what kind of profit you're gonna get, that's one thing. But my point is that that's one thing you want to think. The other thing is this: when the state is against you. When the state supports you, you can have a lot of success. And when the state is against you, it can fail you. Like I told you guys, there's the UNIA in Brooklyn used to meet at this place called the Garvey Center, okay, in Brooklyn, right? And the owner of the Garvey Center, he was given the space for free for the UNIA, I think. I don't know how much they paid, but I think it was free, right? And the whole thing though was this: he was like, the firefighters would show up whenever they wanted. No, the firefighters showed up one day and started saying that he was not up to code. His building was not up to code, and therefore they had to close it down, shut it down. And then at one point, they saw something he was selling on the table, and he was like, "Hey, do you like that? I'll give it to you for free, pretty much, And they were like, "Okay, update your code, and then we'll reconsider closing you right now. But basically, we have your eyes on you." But in another way, these white people can close you down whenever they want, and they do that regularly. And maybe you could say, well, maybe they were just looking for a bribe, and they do that to everybody. Maybe, I don't know, but the reality is that you're engaging with us. So, like, if you're trying to do some serious things in America, okay, if you're trying to do some serious things in America, they can do some serious things to you. Basically, a state can protect its own economy. I'll put it that way. The purpose of politics is, I wrote this inside of the Uangalifu. Make sure you guys check out Uangalifu, right? But the state or the politics, the objective of politics is to secure the economy. And if the state sees you as a threat to its economy, for instance, if you are, as black people, only shopping with black people, right? The state might not like that. And I told you guys this story before about the story. I put it in this recording called The Story of Al Sharpton. And we were talking about this yesterday too. But what happened was when black people were boycotting in Bensonhurst, the white people really felt it to the point where they were asking the black people for anything. Like they're basically willing to buy out the leadership, and they did buy out the leadership. But the point was that you could cripple a lot of white families, a lot of white businesses by holding on to your money. And the state, the white business infrastructure, and the white state would openly try to get you back into your old habits so that they can continue to profit off of you. Right? So, when Clever Girl Reading tells you, hey, have your own, homes, your businesses, all that stuff. You can do that, absolutely, but you'll be resisted by the state. And there's nothing wrong with getting resistance. The only thing is this. When you go to Africa, you're not getting that resistance. Okay? When you go to Africa and you're stimulating the economy, because, you're doing it for black folks, so you're stimulating the economy, you might get assistance. So the difference between you getting resistance and assistance is very critical. And I'm actually going to go to the wisdom of my brother. You guys check out D Web and Hip Hop High Society. But my brother D Web actually put something on Twitter the other day. I don't know if I should show you guys the Twitter page, but he said this, and it was pretty interesting. In his response to somebody talking about Elon Musk, let me see if I can find it real quickly. I'm scrolling through my. Should I show you guys what my Twitter looks like? Let me just see. Let me make sure that the page is. Of course, a guy in the corner saying follow Dungeons and Dragons, so that's kind of corny, but it is what it is. Let's see if I could show it. It's like, yo, why don't you follow Dungeons and Dragons? Anyway, so this is my page. I'll show you guys a lot of stuff that's going on in the world. This is some interesting stuff too. This is my book right here, Uangalifu. You guys check it out. This is the video we're listening to right now. This is a weird thing. So, Shoot the Breeze was yesterday. So you guys, make sure you guys follow this. Oh, here it goes. He says, this is D-Web. He says, look, nobody becomes a billionaire without government contracts. And consequently, nobody loves glazing billionaires more than the red cultists. So again, with state assistance, now this was the comment, somebody was talking about Elon Musk, they say, so you think the guy whose entire line of business is only surviving from government subsidies is a good guy? Government is 90% corrupt. WTF up? It's all corrupt in every form imaginable. I'll need anything Elon provides. I'll never need anything Elon provides. He's a puppet. Wake up. WeChat 2.0, right? And so he said, this guy right here, and he says, look, nobody, and the thing is this, that's another thing to remember too, that a lot of people, like a lot of money in America comes through the, shout out to Ibrahim Traore, shout out my brother, Arthur Jor, this is Faithful to the End, you guys check him out too, he's a musician. I like this video right here, even though, it's Ukrainian stuff, but it's pretty interesting, this Russian video, our Ukrainian video is pretty interesting. Basically, she's like, yo, Ukraine started the war in 2014, right? But anyway, let's go back to this. Oh wait, sorry, I'm not going to show you guys this page. Let me go back to the book. Actually, this scene. Yeah, but anyway, so what I'm saying is this: that yeah, like a lot of money. Like there was a story of this sister in, I think, Michigan, right? Who like had an engineering firm, and her firm, like, to fix roads and stuff, like that kind of stuff. She was an engineer, right? And her firm was getting some government contracts to do some, road repair. And they chased her out of Michigan. She was getting millions of dollars from the state in order to do whatever. And they chased her out of Michigan because one of the most important things in the political sphere is those government contracts. Like, you got to remember that the, like I don't know if you ever go to a government building or whatever, but these people eat and they, they have like big meals or whatever on the government dime. So who's providing food to them? You know what I mean? Who's providing food to them? That's a government contract. And whoever's doing the catering, for whatever event they're hosting is getting some paper. Okay? And not just that, it's like who's repairing the road. It's not the government itself, but it's the government pays a contractor, so on and so forth. A large extent, yes, you can absolutely do a lot of these businesses in America. You could, but again, it's the question of, do you want to do this in resistance, and of course, with white people saying either you help us or we're going to destroy you, right? And they're not going to necessarily destroy you, but you're going to have to fight. Or do you do this with assistance? One thing I can tell you guys this. Say what you want. Obadale Kambon in Ghana, he's on the national television. Okay? He would never be on national television. Not to say that he wouldn't, but like, he is very rarely interviewed for. It's very unlikely that he'd be interviewed for a TV show in America, especially considering what happened to, like what his father did on C-SPAN, right? But yeah. So again, I completely agree with Clever Girl Reading. Apologies for not reading the message earlier. Black people, like black men, we have to. I mean, I wouldn't say males, but yeah, men. Black men, we have to, build up our stuff. But another thing I want to point out is that in Africa, we are doing it. And in Africa, it'll be easier for us to do it. That's all I'm going to say. So, thanks everybody. There's no other comments. So appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who's here. Brother Bakari. Always. Arthur Jor, that's my other brother from another mother. Bit of Medicine. Great guy. You guys check out his podcast. Check out his material. It's really good. Clever Girl Reading. Shout out to you. And you're right, sis. Real Black Gentleman, RBG. Always a pleasure, of course. And Kwame Nsoa. Sorry I didn't understand at first, but I guess it was because, the moment passed. But yeah. The American, the air thing was correct. But I don't remember. It was like, I was like a kid when that thing came out. But that's pretty much it. So I appreciate everybody for your time and your energy. And of course, until next time, Shemi Hotep, Uncle Ja, Sendab Neb, Amen, Ma'at, Dua, Neche.